Good morning, grade 6. For today, we are going to do worded percentage phrases to mathematical expression. So what do you mean by that? For example, we have here 30% of 50 is what? 45% of 200 is what? Okay, so we are actually just going to convert and of course to solve this percentage or worded percentage phrases para makuha natin yung sagot. Okay? You need to technically if the reason why I'm going to teach you this because we just need keywords and express them as a mathematical expression, and then from there pwede nyo nang isolve yung question. Like for example here, you are finding technically 30% of 50. So what is 30% of 50? Or to reverse the question, it's like 30% of 50 is what? Okay, so this is quite similar to what is 30% of 50. Halos the same lang yan. It doesn't matter how the sentence is arranged, pero yun na nga, what matters most here is identifying clue words that will help you solve the problem. Okay, so for this kind of phrases or sentences, you need to be familiar of the keywords here of and is. Okay? Yan ang dalawang keywords ninyo. Of and is. Is in mathematical expression is equivalent to equals. Okay? Parang naging parehas yung sign ko. Okay. Let me just encircle this na lang. Okay. Is basically equivalent to equals. And of in mathematical expression is equivalent to times. Rewriting the major components of the sentence such as 30% and 50, and technically what is what you're solving for. So in this case, let's just note this unknown value as x, or what you're solving for, as a variable x lang. Okay? So 30% of 50. Ganyan lang muna. Hindi muna tayo magsisolve. Express lang muna natin to a mathematical expression yung worded percentage phrases or sentences natin. Okay? 50% of 200. Again, we have our clue words here, of and is. Where is equivalent to equals and of is equivalent to times. Rewriting the components, we have 45% times 200 is what? Or in this case is unknown. Okay? So, para hindi tayo malito, ganito na lang. Let's change the symbol for multiplication as yung period since we're doing advanced mathematics naman. Okay? Sinabi ko na sa inyo before that multiplication sign is represented by a dot na in higher mathematics. Paminsan nga, wala na siya. Wala nang dot. Okay? So, in this case, ganito na lang muna. 30% times 50 equals x, or unknown. 45% times 200 is unknown. Okay? Teacher Mark, is it always written like that? No. Because there are sentences that they jumble up, or the missing value is different. Okay? So, let's say, for example, this one. 60 is what percent of 150? Okay, iba na yung construction ng sentence ngayon. 60 is what percent of 150? So, pwede natin balikan ito. Again, we have our clue words, is and of, in which is equivalent to equals and of is equivalent to times. As long as, papalitan nga pala natin, sorry. Times. Ganyan lang. All you have to do now is to rewrite. We have 60 here. What percent? So you don't know what, since percent is mentioned there, so technically your x is a percent. And of course, we have 150 over here. Teacher Mark, why can't I write 150 here? You cannot write 150 there because 150 is after of. which is our multiplication sign. Okay? That's why we have to write them accordingly para mas maintindihan natin. Okay, let's try another one. What percent of 300 is 80? So then again, we're looking for yung percent natin. Percent na naman ang missing. So that's X percent. Okay. Pero syempre, since you're beginners, let's start with our keywords. Of and is, where is equivalent to equals and of is equivalent to times. Rewriting X percent here multiplied to 300 is 80. Okay, ganyan lang. Now, paano nga ba natin isa-solve ito? Okay, let's write this. Paano natin isa-solve ito? Let's take this example kanina. Yung 30% of 50 is what? 30% of 50 is what? Okay. If you notice that our x is all alone in one side, and this equal sign here separates everything, or separates, basically groups them in two sides, no? This side over here and the side over there. Yung equal sign, yan ang purpose ng equal sign, to separate both sides. Okay. Since you notice that your x is all by itself, it means that you can now apply the operation involved here, which is 30% multiplied to 50. And you already know, when we deal with percent rather, the percent should be changed to decimal. So which means 30% is given to 0.30, or can just simply be written as 0.3. But knowing you, I'll just include 30. Kasi Teacher Mark, why is it 3? What is it 0.3? Isn't it supposed to be 3% if it's 0.3? No. That's wrong. Maling-mali. Okay. Kasi nga, like what I've said, if you remember the time that I wrote a lot of zero endlessly on the word, okay, the value of zero after a decimal, especially if it's the last zeros, useless na yan. In other words, just to make it clear, that even if you're going to do 0.30000, no matter how many zeros there are, these three are just the same. Okay. So, ibig sabihin, kahit tatanggalin nyo yung 0 na yan, which means that 0.30 is just the same as 0.3. Now, proceeding with the equation, we have times 50 equals x. Okay, you are still allowed to use your calculator here kasi I don't care about your basic multiplication skills here. Ang importante sa akin ngayon is understanding this. So we have 50 multiplied to 0.30, just for your sake. The answer is 15 equals x, which means your x is equivalent to 15. Okay, let's take another example. Kunin natin yung second number. Ano ba yun? 45% of 200 is what? Okay. 45%. Let's try to be uniform here. 45% of 200 is, ba't ako nag-write ng sentence, ng word, equals x. Okay, 45% of what, of 200 is what? So in mathematical expression, it's 45% times 200 equals x. Then again, 45% just needs to be changed to a decimal, 0.45 multiplied to 200 will give you your x. Okay, so that's 200 multiplied to 0.45. That gives you 90, sorry. So your x is equivalent to 90, and that basically gives you the answer. Ngayon, dito tayo ngayon mahihirapan. I mean, not actually mahihirapan, but to give you the thought of this. 60 is what percent of 150? Let me write that sentence down again. 60 is what percent of 150? 60 is what percent of 150? Okay, when doing this as much as possible, mas maganda if we have a single line, single sentence lang. Why? So that you can basically keep track on writing down the expression in one line, in one single line. Kasi if you're gonna, for example, what I'm trying to say is, what if hindi na kasya dito? Tapos dito nyo na sa baba nilagay of 150. So, mahirapan kayo gawin yung sentence, mathematical expression. Okay? Just to make it clear. Of 150. Okay, so dito na. 60 is what percent of 150? Clue words natin, is and of. Is equals, of is times. Okay, this one now is a different situation. Okay, bakit magiging different situation? Kasi if you notice here, your x is always alone in one side, which means you can basically solve for x immediately. But in this case, what happens is, if you're going to finalize the mathematical expression, in which, for example, we have 60 equals what percent of 150? This is what's missing here. And if you notice, again, like what I've mentioned earlier, it is being separated by an equal sign. Diba? So in this side versus this side, if you notice that x now has a companion which is 150. When we are solving equations, we want to leave x alone in one side of the equation. Okay? Kailangan nating iwan ng x sa isang side of the equation. Okay? Just to make it clear. Ganun yung kailangan magsosolve ng equation. We need to leave x alone in one side. Okay? So that we'll be able to solve the problem. So, erase natin muna yung mga sinulat ko. I'll just leave the separator there. So, ano ang gagawin ninyo dito ngayon? What are you supposed to do here right now? Okay. Since the relationship between x and the other part, which is 150, is multiplication, all you have to do is just divide this side of the equation. That's why I wrote this. Okay, erase ko na ulit. All you have to do here is just to divide this equation by 150 or the other value other than x, which is in this case is 150. Why do we have to do that? Because if you're going to divide 150 by itself, it will give you 1. Or technically, in advanced mathematics, we tend to cancel the value, which leaves x alone already. But there is also a golden rule in mathematics that what you do in one side of the equation, which is 1, 2, okay, we have one equation here, we have, sides rather, one side of the equation, the other side of the equation. What you do here, what you do in one side of the equation, you do it on the other side of the equation. Since you divided this side by 150, you should also divide this side by 150. Okay, which means that we should also divide this side by 150. Let's try to rewrite the equation again. No more na ang 150 kasi ni-cancel na natin to dito, which leaves us with just x percent alone. And we have 60 and over 150 over here. Calculator, 60 divided by 150 will give you 0.4. And if you notice that our x has a percent sign, which means our answer should be in percent. So, since our answer is in decimal, all you have to do is to move 2 decimal places to the right. So, that's 1, 2, which gives us 40%. So, that is the value of our x right now. Okay. Deriving to. This is actually advanced mathematics na. Not actually that advanced, pero a little. Okay. Let's try to do the next number, which is what percent of 300 is 80? What percent? What percent of 300 is 80? What percent of 300 is 80? Again, clue words natin. That's the first thing that you have to do. Clue words ninyo. Of is times is equals. And all you have to do now is just to write the given components, which is in this case, what percent? Again, percent na naman ang missing. Writing the other components, 380 over here. Then again, if you notice that in this side of the equation, we have 2, di ba? Kasi separated by the equal sign. You have X percent here accompanied by 300. We want to remove that 300. How do we do it? Since the relationship between the two is multiplication, what do? We cancel. Okay? We cancel what? Of course, what you want to be removed. Since you want to leave x alone, you don't cancel x, else you are going to remove the value of x. Diba? So to leave x alone, you have to remove what is there aside from x, which is in this case is 300. So divide nyo lang. All you have to do is divide this side by 300. Why? To cancel it. Because it will give you a value of 1. And the golden rule for algebra, what you do in one side of the equation, you should also do it on the other side of the equation. So which gives you x percent. Since wala na ang 300 na ito, so there's just the equal sign right away. 80 divided by 300. So x percent is equivalent to, calculator, 80 divided by 300 will give you an endless number of 0.26666. Since 6666 siya, so just take 4 digits, since continuous, no? And then round off the last. Okay? Just take 4 and as much as possible, round this off right away. So since this is 6, our rounded off value should be 0.2667. If you don't know how to round off, if you forgot how to round off, you can just search for my video sa YouTube dun sa under sa grade 4 sa first quarter. Nandun yung sa albums ko. Okay, then again, you have to express this as a percent kasi nga what we're solving for has a percent sign. Okay? So which means x percent is actually equivalent to, by simply moving 2 decimal places to the right, we have 1, 2. So that's 26.67%. That is how you basically solve for worded percentage phrases to mathematical expression. Okay, identifying the clue words natin, ang of at saka ang is. And then from there, you'll be able to solve it na. Okay? So that's basically it for today.